to Authentic with Brazil 201. I'm your host, Brazil 201. And on today's episode, we're going to take a trip back down memory lane to a show that really engulfed what America was before the Obama presidency. A show that was the number one show on television next to 24. A show that aired on at the time, I believe was ABC Family, right? Because ABC Family becomes Freeform. The Secret Life of an American Teenager. For those of you who don't know what The Secret Life of an American Teenager is, it is a show about a lovely bunch of white people and one Hispanic chick. Um, and this girl named Amy Jurgens, played by Shailene Woody, the show that made Shailene Woody. Where she go on our pilot episode, we're back to the first day of junior year in high school, and Amy went to band camp. And guess what Amy did at band camp? She had sex with the bad boy Ricky, who was out also at band camp, and he knew how to play the flute. And apparently, because this is pre-Obama, there was never any sex ed taught in schools. I vaguely remember this. I went to Catholic school around the same time, so this seems about accurate. And as you all know how it works when you're young, when you have sex just once without protection, you get pregnant. Now, this is something I've now learned when you were older. Apparently, that's not true. Like, women can only get pregnant in certain intervals. I don't know, like, the way school made it seems like if you ever had sex without a condom, automatically, boom, pregnant, and that's the way every TV show. I still have that fear inside my head because I don't wanna get some random girl pregnant. Nobody wants that. Anyway, I wanna tell you about besides the fact that, yes, the show begins with a pregnancy and her covering up, and that's the secret life of an American teenager, there are 8 chaotic moments that happened in this show because 'cause I've been rewatching it because it was popping up on my Disney Plus on things you may know, and I just forgot how ridiculous this show was because this show aired from '08 to 2013, and it ironically, nobody on this show outside Shailene Woody and I believe what's her Francisca Razia ever and well, no, Megan Park is an amazing director because she's now a director-writer, she my old ass, but what's it called? The dude who played Benjamin, I never saw him in anything post, fucking Secret Life. Ricky was in that fucking movie with the chick from Degrassi, the Jewish Netflix movie where they, like, have to refine the spirit of Hanukkah or some bullshit. But everyone else on Molly Ringwald was also on the show. She has her own issues in the show. I wanna go through some of the things. So first, Jack. Jack is basically was the proto version of Matt fuck, was Matt God, I can't remember. What was Matt's name in the Vampire Diaries? Matt Donovan, right? He's the prototype version, like the original version of Matt Donovan, where his life just constantly bad things happen to him, but he was like the good-looking 6'4" white quarterback who was fucking a cheerleader, right? Let me tell you this. Jack gets beaten up and ends up in a coma. Jack was written as like the perfect Christian football boy, but the writers like threw him into some crazy storyline where he tried to save a hooker from an abusive pimp in this white suburban town, right? And instead of applause, he got jumped by a group of guys and he was beaten with a baseball bat. It was, and I believe that's how season five's mid premiere because the what's it called? These, what's it called? The fucking ABC Family shows used to, like, split their shows in 2 where, like, they have a mid-season disappear, like, it would air in the fall and the summer, and the aftermath was crazy. Jack was in a coma, and everyone was praying at his bedside. Oh, yeah, everyone in the show was, like, super religious, and everyone was crying about forgiveness and faith, and then he woke up because no one, like, ever actually died on the show outside the what the fuck, Grace's dad, and that is another funny thing that happens in the show. Okay, so Grace is your evangelical white Christian girl. Okay, and the most infamous plot line, which apparently the actress does not remember happening in her show. I told her on Instagram the entire plot of the show, and she was just so fucking wow. Like these are real things that happen. So Grace believes she killed her dad because she had sex with Jack. And it was the most infamous plot line in the show's history. Grace Bowman, the virgin Christian cheerleader evangelical, sleeps with Jack. And on that same day, her father dies in a plane crash. And instead of grieving like a normal person, Grace convinces herself she caused the crash as divine punishment for premarital sex. She even tells all her friends this with complete sincerity. And then for like several episodes in that entire season, Grace spirals, vowing celibacy forever because she believes her choice brought death to her family. And she tried to make it a lesson about guilt and grief, but it played like fucking hilarious. And it was funny because it wasn't enough for like the writers to show like abstinence guilt. They linked sex directly to a plane crash. No teen drama ever did this. Next, our boy Ben Boykovich, the ultimate sim. Ben is one of the most fucking polarizing characters because he's the definition of like down bad simp boy. After a few conversations with Amy Jerkins, he's declaring her the love of his life. He showers her with gifts, pressures her into dating, inserts himself into her pregnancy, and constantly meddles in her decisions. The funniest part is the show actually rewards his behavior for a while, presenting his simping as romantic persistence, but in reality, Ben is a clingy, manipulative, and incapable of taking no for an answer. What's funny is that Ben represents an era of TV where like stalking and love bombing were mistaken for romance instead of being called out. But he was framed as a sensitive dream guy. Oh, then he fucks the school slut, Adrian, gets her pregnant because they fuck in a car. But don't worry, that baby's never born because it ends up in a stillborn. Okay, then the pregnancy epidemic. So the whole premise of Secret Life was like Amy's pregnancy, but by the end of the series, nearly almost every female character on the show had a pregnancy storyline. Grace, Adrian, Amy, Ashley, even the parents. The writers recycled the same beat so many times it was crazy. Then Rick, our boy Ricky. Okay? Ricky starts as, like, your troubled bad boy. He's the Damon Salvatore, right? He's manipulative, he's emotionally distant, he's constantly scheming, but over time, the writers tried to turn him into this perfect boyfriend and devoted father, and one season, he's a womanizer, the next, he's, like, the most responsible dad in the school. Mind boy, yeah, uh-huh, giving speeches about loyalty and family, and it's funny is because Ricky's art feels like fan service as though the writers knew viewers wanted him and Amy together, so they, like, rewrote his entire personality instead of, like, developing him. Next was, Amy's mother, Ann Jurgens, played by Molly Greenwald, Archie's mom from Riverdale. In the later seasons, right, Amy's, fucking mom, fucking Ann announced she's a lesbian out of nowhere. There's no hint of anything. For 4 seasons, she was the stereotypical stressed out single mom, and then suddenly she's dating women and telling everybody she was suppressing her sexuality. And the issue wasn't, like, her being gay or whatever, it was, like, lazy in how it was handled. There was no buildup, no debt, no hints, no exploration of what it meant to be a revenge. It read less like authentic story and more like writers throwing darts at this final season, like, for a twist. And it was like it felt like a final, like, thing to keep things spicy. Next, the PSA dialogue, which was funny. Every character sounded like they were reading lines from, like, a sex ed Christian pamphlet. Conversations about relationships were full with morality, and pregnancy never felt like actual teenagers talking. Never like Gossip Girl or The Vampire Diaries or Riverdale or even the good seasons of Degrassi, like the Nina Dobrev, Manny Santos era. Instead, it felt like a group of robots delivering public service announcement. And it gave this show this weird, awkward, uncanny valley energy. It was the 180 of fucking the OC, which came like 5 years before it. I still think it's funny. Like, also that Grace got pregnant. God, I can't believe. Oh no, Grace. I forgot if Grace. Did Grace have an abortion? Whatever. But this show. Rewatch the show. It is something.